get you improving your pitching, we need you improving your launch angle. So if we can get this ball launching for a very similar window each time, your distance control will tend to improve, and then in turn what will happen is hopefully your strikes will move along with it. Let's give you my top ideas for getting your pitching really sharp for your next round of golf. So issue number one, when I watch amateurs pitch, let's say I'm 60 yards out, so whatever your length of pitching is, so bigger than a chip, it's a 3/4 shot if you like, is we see 3 shots like I hit at the start there, but they're all going to launch through very different windows, meaning you haven't got any chance of hitting consistent distance. You're gonna have really poor distance control. So we need you launching it through a consistent window like you saw me do at the start, and then all you can worry about is thinking how far should you swing your arms and turn your body and at what speed then hit those distances. So point one, basic little setup ideas. Let's get the handle set up towards lead leg, which to lots of people will feel like they're turning the face in a little bit, because remember, the more this end goes forward, the more that face tends to point to the right unless you do slightly change it. So we don't want the club coming out anywhere backwards. Straight just okay if you want to really activate the back of that club. Just slightly forward is good, but don't let the face sit to the right. That'll add loft as well, which is where you're going to get these horrible kind of high pop short right. That is a very common shot for people who struggle with their pitching. So let's just get your feet nice and close together opposite the ball here, and I'm going to move lead foot, say a foot left and then half a foot right with trail foot, so my ball's kind of middle to slightly back in my stance, and I'm going to make sure my hand's on my lead leg here. Next thing I'm going to do is make sure I've got a feeling of a bit more pressure on my lead foot. I'm just setting myself feeling like I'm going to try and get my low point ahead of the ball. I want ball then ground feelings. This is going to crisp up strike and keep the launch much lower than lots of amateurs think their launch should go. Basic setup, handle just up towards lead leg, a little bit wider with lead foot, less with trail, moving that ball slightly back, and then we want that pressure on that lead foot. And as you make your swing, let's keep that pressure there. Feel like it stays lead foot. I don't want big pulls off the ball. These kind of movements, so common with golfers when they struggle with their pitching, these kind of leans and pulls off the ball, like a full shot. With your driver, your irons, you'll tend to move your pressure onto your trail foot and then hopefully recenter. Lots of people don't, they stay there as well. Create bad strikes. Don't want it in pitching. You want to feel much more lead foot centered and centric over your swing, so you're almost reducing the amount of movements that you're feeling you're going that way, so to the trail side and to the lead side, keeping that pressure forward, ball slightly back, handle forwards, keep that pressure forwards and pitch it in there. Next point, let's not get too low with our hands. I see lots of people getting really low with pitches. It tends to dig the heel in the ground and it turns the club over, get horrible kind of strikes. Try and make sure you get your hands that little bit higher, feel like you're standing that little bit taller. A pitch shot is about controlling distance. It's often not about trying to make distance up. So getting people to stand that little bit taller often encourages them to have a slightly more what I call wooden man swing, where they're not giving it so much of their normal actions. They are just getting into this more rocking body action. From the taller setup, that makes a lot of sense for people. And that often controls low point to become more shallow, so the interactions with the ground aren't offensive. And then in turn, turns the movement into a simplified body turn. So if I want to hit the ball X distance, I'm going to turn my shoulders this far and this far through, allowing them to really start feeling those distances into greens. Leading on to my last point, where we've got the ball middle to slightly back, hand forwards a little bit taller. Now with that pressure staying on that lead foot as you swing, I want you to feel like your backswing, that your arms and body stay very connected. If you're struggling with strikes, don't be afraid to feel like you're taking a little bit of wrist out of that backswing. We don't want those to set angles. We certainly don't set angles with weight shifts. All this mess that creates mess down at the bottom. So much more of a connected backswing is really good to then getting this nice extended follow through. So what I mean by that is I want you to feel as you come through that as you rotate your body through, you finish with your chest up to the sky. So feel like you're coming through, rotating, turning and extending your body to get your chest up, to allow this club to get the handle down and then up and through to create really solid strikes down by the ball. With that pressure forward, neat little kind of body movement backswing next to no wrist angles, extending up and through with your upper body, your strikes will absolutely start to crisp up. If we can get them crisping up, that's going to allow you to get the same launch window each time, which will allow you to start hitting a repeatable distance. Once you hit a repeatable distance, you can then work it into, right, a repeatable 50, a repeatable 60, a repeatable 70. If you've got balls just popping up in the air, finning along the ground and then going the right trajectory, it's going to be very tough to get consistent out there. Ball position centered to slightly further back, handle slightly forward, slightly higher in hands. Then trying to take lots of excessive wrist movement out and get your body rotating to a follow through position where you get that chest nice and extended up in the air, all coming from a more left forward centered setup and swing. Your strikes, your pitching will start to get sharp, and then your scores will start to come down.